Hi there, my name is JBRNBSN, and in this video I'm going to discuss some important updates from the College of Nurses of Ontario or CNO with regards to their three registration requirements, mainly nursing education, language proficiency in English or French, and evidence of practice requirements, most especially for internationally educated nurse applicants. But before I begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Put your comments down below and I will try to answer them all. Please support my channel by clicking the link on the upper right portion of this channel. So let's begin. Guys, I have my notes here so that I can provide you with the right information. So CNO, or the College of Nurses of Ontario, is the official regulator of the nursing profession in the province of Ontario, both for registered nurse and registered practical nurse. So an RPN is also called an LPN, or licensed practical nurse. The purpose of CNO is to protect the public by providing safe nurse practice. They want to make sure that the applicants they are granting license are competent and have the skills, knowledge, judgment to safely practice as a nurse in the province, just like other regulators in other countries. So they want to make sure, CNO wants to make sure that the registered professional is competent to practice as a nurse. So passing NCLEX RN is the new way to assess an internationally educated nurse's nursing knowledge, skill, and judgment. On March 2021, CNO Council decided that the approved process for evaluating internationally educated nurse applicants for registration as an RN in Ontario will be amended to include passing the NCLEX RN exam on or after January the 1st, 2015. So if you pass the NCLEX RN on or after January 1, 2015, then this will serve as an evidence that an applicant has demonstrated the required entry-level nursing knowledge, skill, and judgment to meet the nursing education and registration exam requirements. So if you pass the NCLEX RN exam on or after January the 1st, 2015, then you will meet the requirements for nursing education and registration exam. So you just hit two birds with one stone for the NCLEX RN. If you pass NCLEX RN on or after January the 1st, 2015, then you've already met the nursing education and the registration exam requirement for CNO. The NCLEX RN is a valid and reliable measure of an applicant's entry-level nursing knowledge, skill, judgment required for safe nursing practice. So there's a question here. I have successfully completed the NCLEX RN exam on or after January the 1st, 2015. Will this meet my evidence of practice and language proficiency requirement? The answer will be no. Passing the NCLEX RN will only meet the nursing education requirement and registration exam requirements. So guys, if you pass the NCLEX RN on or after January the 1st, 2015, you will only meet two registration requirements, which is the nursing education and the registration exam requirement. And evidence of practice is another thing. I will discuss that in the next portion of this video. The next section would be the language proficiency. Hi, this is the language requirement section of the College of Nurses of Ontario at cno.org. Proficiency in English or French. You must be able to show proficiency in either English or French before you can practice nursing in Ontario. This means the college must be satisfied that you can read, write, listen, and speak in either English or French at a level that allows you to practice nursing safely. So there's a new update with the language proficiency in English or French. English or French language proficiency policy has changed as of March 7th, 2022. The college will be implementing changes to their English or French language proficiency policy, which will impact how you can meet the requirement. The new policy will come into effect March the 7th, 2022. The policy will only apply to applicants who submit their language proficiency information after this time. If you submit information related to the language proficiency requirement prior to March 7, 2022, your information will be evaluated under the existing policy. So, how do an applicant meet the language proficiency in English or French? So there is a diagram that I will show you. So the question now is, do I meet the requirement? First, are you currently registered as a member in the college's general, extended, temporary, or special assignment class? If your answer is yes, then the requirement is met. Number 2, if you say no, then we'll proceed to the next question. Can you provide evidence that you have, within the past 2 years, completed an approved nursing program in either English or French, or held registration as a nurse in a practicing class in any Canadian province or territory? Or have you achieved the benchmark scores in a college-approved language test? If your answer is yes to all of the questions, then the requirement is met. If the answer to this question is no, then we'll proceed further. Can you provide any other evidence of language proficiency that took place in the past 2 years, such as nursing or non-nursing education and or nursing or non-nursing experience in either English or French? If you say no, you cannot proceed until you either take the language proficiency test or submit additional information. If you say yes to this question, if you have a non-nursing practice or practice as a nurse in other jurisdiction, then you can provide the college an evidence or a form. There's a form that you need to fill out, and the employer will also need to fill out and then verify and confirm that or the language used in your work is in English or French. So to continue, if you answer yes to this question, the college will review your evidence to determine if you have met the language requirement, and you will be advised about the next steps. So here are the related links: evidence of language proficiency, applicant form, evidence of language proficiency, summary of evidence form, evidence of language proficiency, education form, evidence of language proficiency, experience form. So the experience form will be submitted directly to, you have to fill out section 1, and then section 2 will be filled out by your employer, confirming that English or French is the language used in your work. Also, this is education form. If you have been educated as a nurse in the last 2 years, then this one can be sent to your school to verify that English or French is the language used in your study. And then summary of evidence form and the applicant form, you have to submit it directly to CNO. There is an instruction on the form where you can send it by mail or email. So if you want other forms of language proficiency evidence, then we could go to accepted language proficiency tests. So the accepted language proficiency tests are the Canadian English Language Benchmark Assessment for Nurses, or CELBAN. The test component is writing, speaking, listening, and reading. The CELBAN scores for writing should be 7. speaking 8, listening 10, reading 8. These are the minimum benchmark scores that must be achieved and includes the standard error of measurement. Let's proceed to International English Language Testing System, or IELTS. So the test components are the same with CELBAN: writing, speaking, listening, and reading. For writing, the required score is 7, speaking is 7, listening is 7.5, reading is 6.5, with a total band score of 7. These are the minimum benchmark scores that must be achieved and includes the standard error of measurement of 0.5. The college will only accept scores from the academic format of the IELTS test. Remember, IELTS has two formats, the academic and the general training. The general training is used for like immigration to Canada. The academic training is used for like if you want to register as a nurse in Ontario or in any other jurisdiction. So this is the test, the evaluation de Francois. This is for French proficiency evidence. So writing is 4, speaking is 5, listening is 5, reading is 4, vocabulary and grammar is 4. So absolute minimum score for writing is 271 out of the possible 450, speaking 349 out of a possible 450, listening 280 out of the possible 360, reading 181 out of the possible 300, vocabulary and grammar 145 out of the possible 240. So those are your accepted language proficiency tests for CNO. For evidence of practice requirement under the CNO guideline, if you ever practice as a registered nurse in another jurisdiction in the last 2 years, you can have your employer verify that you practice as a nurse in that facility by sending a verification directly from your employer to the College of Nurses of Ontario. Also, if you don't have any evidence of practice, or evidence of practice is the only requirement left because you've already wrote and passed the NCLEX RN in advance, so there is a new way to get that as of January 2022. It's easier to accomplish. So recently the Ministry of Health of Ontario, in coordination with the CNO, invited IEN applicants, or internationally educated applicants, to work in a facility with an RN licensed preceptor to supervise them as clinical interns or nurse clinical interns due to RN shortages in Ontario brought about by COVID-19 pandemic. This is a paid job experience, and pay rate depends on the facility the applicant was matched with. The job experience will count towards the evidence of practice and language requirements by CNO. There is a certain number of work hours an applicant needs to meet in order to satisfy the requirements. Once the applicant satisfies the requirements, the facility will submit a form directly to CNO to verify and confirm the work hours completed by the applicant. If the applicant has already passed the NCLEX RN by the time he or she meets the number of practice hours, then it is possible that his or her RN license application will be approved by CNO, thereby awarding the applicant as official registered nurse in Ontario. Furthermore, once they become an RN, they will be considered to be absorbed as regular employee of that facility where they worked as clinical interns, and their pay rate will be different and much higher than before. However, if an applicant has not yet passed the NCLEX RN, then he or she will need devoted time to review and focus to pass the registration exam successfully. Studying the content, enhancing critical thinking skills, and emotional readiness are the keys to pass this test. Remember, this is a very difficult test. So guys, if I was very helpful to you, don't forget to support my channel. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.